Ladies and gentlemen, the show will commence in 5 minutes. While you are waiting, please hit the like button and share the video link.
You want to talk?
Please like and leave a comment, and share this video.
Only 3 minutes until the start.
Let's get our last show on
Was the braid itself cancelled?
Yeah. I had that every 5 years.
Yeah, I think I also heard something like they're switching it to the 3rd of July from now on.
I think that's every 2 years. But on, you know, the gallery
Yeah.
along the strip there.
Yeah, the vehicles in 5 years.
Yeah, well, they had this all the vehicles all the way up to as well as the thing.
Only 2 minutes until the start.
I went the last 2 years, but not this year.
Last year I went, they had just like a, I don't know, a bunch of people, fast food sort of places, and then music playing.
Fast food or people selling shashlik and stuff?
Well, I guess that's...
Please like and subscribe to this channel today. Don't forget to share it and hit that thumbs up. Thank you.
Beer and different French fries and stuff like that. From wagons, sort of. I remember the music. They have a stage and I don't know what. You know that one song? Oh,
I might know it if I heard it, but I can't think of it.
it's one of the World War II songs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the awesomeness is about to start in 1 minute.
Soviet Union flag above the museum.
It's history, that's why they shouldn't have changed Stalingrad red. It's Stalingrad.
It makes sense. It was a war of Soviet Union against Germany.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to begin. Grab a drink and a snack, sit down and enjoy watching the show. Don't forget to comment, like the video, and share it to others.
Hey everybody, live show 47 coming to you from Minsk, Belarus. On my left is Duke, and we've got Andrew returning.
Hi.
Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself again and where people can get you, all that sort of thing?
I'm Andrew. I got an Instagram, Andre Hutch, ANDREYHUTCH. You can message me there because you can't message me on YouTube. I got a very informal YouTube with very good information. Androclone1, ANDROCLONE 1. Talk about medical stuff, men's health, men's stuff, occasional Belarus video, fitness. It's kind of all over the place, but all related to stuff that's important for men.
And you've been here a few years, haven't you?
Yeah, I've lived here 3 years, been coming here 6 years. I got a wife who's from here.
Cool. And we know Duke, Dr. Doolittle from the zoo.
Dr. Doolittle. He's a real doctor over there. I'm just a fictitious zoo doctor that's not a doctor.
No medical license over here yet.
I feed animal and clean some cages about all I do. So
you do talk to the animals, don't you?
I do actually. I think some. I don't know if anybody's caught me yet.
There you go. Cool.
I do every day.
Okay, let's start. I want to do this first. Let's go here. Taking a bit of time. Come on. There you go. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. Just President Lukashenko takes his dog everywhere, and for some reason the West is going weird about it. They're all saying, I don't know why, they're upset. I thought it'd be a good thing to take your dog everywhere.
Yeah.
I would think so too. And he's a real animal lover. Did we ever, I don't know if last time we talked about the woman who was kicking her dog. It kind of looked like this one on camera.
Yeah.
And he took care of that.
Yeah, here he is here again.
Yeah. Well, he's
he takes it. He was at the red square in the parade. The dog was there. He takes it on diplomatic missions.
I've seen him even take it on the little sidecar of his motorcycle.
Yeah, I saw that picture too.
Well, like this one, look. He's working there. He's got a dog in the basket.
Man's best friend.
Yeah.
It looks like a real normal guy with his army pants and his dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. The West got to say something anyway. They got to just.
Yep.
If it's a Lukashenko or Putin or maybe even Assad or something.
Doesn't matter what they do, they'll spin it bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to show a few photos of man and his dog. I'd rather trust him because he's got a pet and he loves it than some of these other Western leaders who don't.
Well, these people, they have pets, but like I think Biden's got some dog. Trump had a dog. They all have these dogs, but
yeah, but they've got them as pets. I mean, they don't really see them as part of the family, I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
And they have the traditional always video footage of the dog going with the dog to the helicopter or something like that. I don't know. Every president, you see the dog going, like Bush and with Trump and with Biden, going to the helicopter out on the White House grass or something like that. It's maybe just some fake dog or somebody else owns a dog and they just stick a dog. I don't know.
And then how good is Biden with his dog if his dog's biting everybody?
Yeah,
exactly.
If someone has a bad trained dog, I don't trust that person to be a very good person.
No, exactly. Okay, yes. Duke.
Okay.
Over to you. What do you want to start with?
Yes, we'll talk about some other bad dogs, but we have on, I think it was May 9th, in an op-ed on Bloomberg, we had retired Admiral, I always called it Stradivarius, but it's Stravritis, I guess. Sounds like a sickness or something, but anyway, this guy, and he used to be in charge of NATO, Supreme Allied Commander Europe from 2009 to 2013. He's got a whole bunch of other impressive things in his background and all that, his credentials. And he came out and said NATO must neutralize Kaliningrad. We have a map of, show you in case a lot of you may not know, or, Americans, you know how bad we are in geography.
Well, I wonder
anyway.
what that means, neutralize Kaliningrad.
Yeah, that's it. That's it exactly. I guess you can find out when he's, when he describes it a little bit more, it's not just neutralize, it's, yeah. So look at on this map here, you see Russia, there's Belarus, and there's this Suwalki Gap or something like that. And the West is, messing up their pants, thinking that, even though Belarus doesn't have any troops really by there or nothing, that Belarus wants to take, I don't know what does Belarus want to take? They want to take over the whole thing or something?
Apparently they want to connect Belarus to Kaliningrad.
Well, yeah, I would want to too, but it's not like, I think Lukashenko knows it's not anything, that something you don't do. He's never attacked anybody. He's never threatened anybody. And he's never said, I want to expand the borders like Poland always says. They want to expand and take part of Ukraine. They want to expand, I think, and take at least Brest, the Brest Oblast. And I don't know, everybody seems to want to expand their borders, and Lukashenko has never, ever said he wants to expand 1 inch into anybody else's territory. And that's why they suspect him of wanting to take over other territory. He's been there how many years? And he's
30
never,
or so.
Yeah. And he's never had any kind of thing like wanting to take over anything. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Or start a war.
Yeah.
The West always tries to make him out to be like some doofus or something, but if you actually listen to him, like he did some BBC interview, he was clearly very intelligent.
Yeah, he is. And it's even like Scott Ritter. I look at Scott Ritter actually as an intellectual. When you start hearing what he's saying and you really know the subject in some areas yourself, he's talking real true. And it's like, I don't know. They like Scott Ritter talks like an enlisted guy, like a guy in the army or something. And he was an officer. And he kind of plays, he's good at both. I don't know. We might have him on the show at some point in time. But anyway, back to Stradivarius, Stravritis or whatever. He said neutralize Kaliningrad, and there's people from a lot of these other countries like the Baltic states and all this, and they say they want to take Kaliningrad. I think they said Russia has no right to have Kaliningrad, and it belonged to Germany before World War II, and it was called Königsberg. Yeah, and that's since the Teutonic Knights and the old Ascanian dynasty and stuff. I remember I studied that quite a bit, and I don't even remember the name, but anyway, he said it's the last remaining nuisance that prevents the Baltic Sea from turning into a NATO lake. In other words, he wants to take it. He doesn't just want to neutralize it. He wants it to be part of NATO. So he wants to make it a big NATO lake. In other words, so that they can maybe shut Russia out completely. And Russia, well, actually, back in the days when I, studied a little bit about this and when I was in the military, the whole goal was to prevent Russia from having a port that was not frozen all year round. So,
and Russia has to get the Black Sea.
Yeah, well, that's one reason why, when they started pulling this crap in Ukraine, that Russia, Putin, and, that was that mistake from Khrushchev back in, what was it, 1954? When did they take over? Wait,
57, maybe?
Oh, now we don't even remember the year when he took or gifted Crimea to Ukraine. And the people didn't want to. It's just like when Lenin gifted the Donbass to Ukraine, and they didn't ever want to be a part of Ukraine. And all these parts of Ukraine, none of them ever wanted to be a part of Ukraine. And Ukraine wasn't even a country. It was just an oblast or a region of Russia at the
54.
time. Anyway. Yeah, I thought so. 54. Okay, but yeah, NATO Lake. Kaliningrad is a big goal for NATO. It's not as big as the goal of trying to take the Crimea. But yeah, I guess who knows? They might start off with Crimea or Kaliningrad when they start a war, which it seems like they want to do.
It'd only be logical. It's a little enclave there, easy to take over in theory.
Yeah, and say then we have a big lake, call it the Baltic Sea, and Russia, you're not able to use it anymore. Get lost. So
That'll start a war.
yeah, that's I don't know. Sometimes makes you wonder. You know, otherwise NATO has no purpose unless they start doing some kind of war.
I always think it's ironic when people are talking about like we need to defend Ukraine because it's going to prevent Russia from taking over Europe or something. So let's start World War III to prevent something else. Like,
Yeah.
no,
None of it
weird
makes
logic.
any sense. You know, it's like democracy. It's like the U.S. is in bad shape if Russia has Ukraine, which they basically have had for hundreds and hundreds of years. But now we got to stop them from having Ukraine. Yes, that's basically what it all means. It's just to fool everybody, as you know. It's just public.
They just come up with some nonsense and they spew it to the masses, and the masses repeat it. It's like they hear something on the TV and they just repeat it back.
Actually, exactly right. Exactly right. That's my opinion.
It's amazing how many people in the West believe stuff.
They can see stuff like it's with the like those Capitol. What did they call it? The January 6th. You see the videos. The people are just walking in there. You know, there's a little bit of disorganization, but they're pretty much just walking in. But then they tell them these people were violent, they were extremists, they were doing this, they were doing that, and they just repeat it. It's like, but you literally were watching with your own eyes, but you say this other thing.
Yeah. They wouldn't lie to us, so they say they're violent. It's just like even, you know, I have to admit it, I was kind of a dummy back in those days too. I was in the military and like, Saddam Hussein is killing his own people. We have to go in there. And it's like, and then I never started thinking, well, that's his own people, and why do we have to go in there and cause more death and destruction? I mean, and of course, most of that stuff is like it's like Assad. Oh, Assad is gassing everybody or something, and it turns out it never was.
That's like the famous line from the U.S. They're killing their own people. We need to go help them.
Or they're doing something to women. They're whatever. I don't know. They did just come up with anything, or he's got a harem of women. I don't.
That's a reason to invade the country. He's got a harem.
I don't know. Yeah.
So that's on the list.
Rape rooms or something like that.
Yeah. They give. Remember they said about Iraq giving out Viagra for rape, and then they said the same thing about Libya. I'm sure they say the same thing. I
remember
about
that
Syria
one now that you mention it. Yeah. Gosh damn.
So what's that story?
Oh, they gave they use it all the time. They say they give Viagra to the soldiers, so they go and rape people. Which is bullshit because they've said that about Iraq, they said that about Libya, they said that about Syria. They
said
use
about
the same
Russia
ones all the time, but most people just forget. You know, like they forget all these things.
I think they said about Russian soldiers. Even.
No, you'd probably say that. Yeah, they brought that one out again.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yes. Now it is also
because you know the gassing in Syria. You know the gas.
I heard about it.
Yeah, well, even the IPCC or whatever the gas people or the chemical weapon people, even they say it was bullshit now.
Well, it's like, why were U.S. soldiers sent over to the Middle East with no sort of chemical protective suits if they're going after chemical weapons?
Yeah. Or they're showing where that gas canister was in Syria, and people were just no suits, no nothing, just scraping it. It's like, okay, really?
And they show them treating these people that are supposed, or whenever they're supposed to be some kind of a chemical, and they don't even have anything on for protect them. It's like, I don't know. It's just the BS. To me, it's like it's so much, and just about everything is BS that I.
But I'm surprised how many people just believe it.
And then, like the real chemical weapons, you can't just wear a gas mask. You have to wear a full-on suit.
Yeah, hazmat. Almost suit, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then you got to change the filters regularly as well, and all kinds of stuff. It's and then you have to be like.
You don't have to wear like a paper mask.
Paper mask, yeah.
That'll save you.
Yeah. They work very well.
Yeah.
For some things they do.
Free. Yeah.
You know, they did a study in England. This is a true study. They had 2 surgeries, for a couple of months. One didn't wear masks while they're doing surgery, right? And one did. and there was no difference.
Mm.
But it's mainly to stop like them spitting, isn't it?
The
Into the
droplets.
wounds.
Yeah.
In the wounds, isn't it?
Although I did read some studies, this is before COVID happened. I'm not sure if I should have avoided saying that, but the particle size looked like it would have stopped a decent amount of it based on the pore size of the particles and how they get through. Because there was, there's theory and then there's actual studies. Now, of course, the interactions between different particles with materials surrounding them, sometimes pores don't even need to be too small. Sometimes the pore can actually be bigger than a particle, but it attracts the particle and it gets stuck. But I did read some studies where they tried all different particle sizes and they saw which ones didn't make it through these common masks.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually looked like it would stop a decent amount of stuff we were concerned with a few years ago. Now, of course, if you wore it completely perfectly with a perfect seal around everything.
And changing it often and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly it wears down.
Not wearing the same one for weeks and putting it in your pocket and then putting it back in and then putting it in your pocket.
Becomes unpredictable then.
Go to dinner, sit down, take it off. You're okay.
Yeah.
Stand up, put it on.
Yes. Also,
Mask work, they're wonderful.
Yes, I know. It's fantastic.
We recommend them.
You got to know what they work for.
Yeah. Well, Fauci knows. The Russia has now, everybody should know maybe that they started an offensive. This is a real offensive, the first one probably, the real one by Russia in the area around Kharkov. I don't know, did I send that video? It's Volchansk near Kharkov, I think it's called.
This one?
I think that's it. Yeah, just, is that a video or just
a video?
Volchansk. Yeah, they like endless artillery, bombing and all that sort of stuff, and I guess they're moving forward like a kilometer a day. Russia, incredible. And I think in that city that we just saw, that part of it anyway, they're supposedly evacuating the city. I think that was just news today that Ukraine is evacuating it, and I saw something that they are going to surrender it as well. But whether that's true or not, I don't know, because they could leave the civilians in there, and Russia's not going to bomb them. So why would they have to evacuate it? Okay. The reason why Russia's been doing this is anyway it's probably to make a buffer zone, is what has been said, so that Ukraine will make it much more difficult for them to bomb innocent civilians in Russia.
I think they should take as much as they can.
Yeah, I think they should go all the way to Kiev, as fast as they can.
Just take the bottom bit, Odessa.
Yeah, that
all the way to Transnistria.
Yeah, I would do that too.
They need that for the Black Sea.
Otherwise, they're going to keep having problems.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, ethnically, they're going to have problems because those people don't want to be part of Ukraine, and there's just too many. And then you're going to have not racial. It's not even ethnic strife because they're all Northern Slavs, but it's I guess, nationalistic and ideological strife of, the Nazis and those that are Nazis, but they don't seem to realize yet that they are Nazis because they want to kill Russians, of people of a different, not even an ethnic group. I don't even know what you call that when you want to kill people with a different nationality, but in the your same ethnic group. It's still what is it? Is it a national Nazi?
Some sort of nationalism.
Somebody's got to think up a name for that one, because it's not like Palestinians and Israelis, where Israelis want to wipe out all the Palestinians off of that land. So, but anyway, on May 10th, the U.S. announced another $400 million military aid package to Ukraine. I guess that comes out, in case you guys don't know, probably of the 61 billion, or the 61 billion. It was 95 billion.
So it's not 61 billion, 400 million.
Yeah, it was I guess it was 95 million. No, it's not that. It's from this. See, whatever this money they allocated, and then they send it in waves at times, every certain period of time, like 400 million now and another 400 million. And when the money's gone, and that's when it has to again be reapproved, which is why they just can easily send it right now. And yes, it will include Patriot air defense missiles as well as Stinger missiles and a lot of other things as well. There's you got to see, I think it's another Harry Potter. It's the Finnish president.
Another Harry Potter.
Yeah, Alexander Stubb. He's kind of like we have a photo of him. He's a maybe a cross between Harry Potter and you have that photo?
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, okay.
There
Harry
it is.
Does not remind me of Harry Potter.
Well, Harry, a mixed. I don't. No, maybe not.
What does he
this
remind
guy.
you of?
He looks like
some whack job.
Yeah, he looks like some nut on a. I don't know. I guess not Harry Potter.
Something from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I don't know.
He looks like some kind of a guy from some weird movie, but I can't remember what. Maybe somebody out there can put it in the chat. Maybe.
But yeah, he does look like he's on that side of the sexual spectrum.
Yeah, he does. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too, but I didn't know exactly how to word it. He's kind of, yeah. He's doesn't look like I would say normal.
I mean, he's got a wedding ring on, but is it for a wife or a husband?
Yeah, it doesn't. You can't tell anymore. Yeah. Yes.
I've got a wedding ring, but I'm not wearing it right now.
But he's maybe like Lindsey Graham. He says the way to reach peace is through the battlefield. So, I mean, for Ukraine to do that against Russia. Yes, and Israel
Him versus Lukashenko.
What's that?
No, just like
who's
more of a man, that guy or Lukashenko? I think it's a pretty clear cut.
Yeah, maybe they should wrestle and see who wins. But anyway, that guy was from Finland, so it doesn't matter so much. He's too far up there for Lukashenko. Israel, as everybody's hearing, oh, we're going to stop sending them weapons and money and all that sort of stuff, but they are still sending money and weapons. Taxpayers' money and weapons. There's a photo we have. U.S. is lying to the public. U.S. finds Israeli use of weapons in Gaza inconsistent with human rights law, but will not cut flow of arms. Yeah, you guys, we hate, you shouldn't be murdering innocent people, but we'll still keep sending you weapons. It's like, okay. In other words, it was lying. It was just per public consumption like everything else is when they said, oh, we halted the flow of weapons to Israel.
Yeah, words mean nothing.
Yeah, and it's only just for people, so, it's an election year, and to say, oh, okay, then. And, Americans, they don't have the desire to be looking at reading things, and they see it on the headlines, and then that's good enough for them. I think they know the whole story. Yes. But anyway, I'm just interjecting this, because we just talked about the 400 million to Ukraine, and we're still on the subject of Ukraine. There's a guy, we'll still talk a little bit about Israel. This is a guy, his name is David Satterfield, and it's about weapons. This is Biden's special envoy to the Middle East. He's the guy that actually is saying that they're not stopping the flow of weapons to Israel. So you can listen to him here.
This is by no means a withholding of U.S. military support to Israel. That support is quite robust. Some $800 million of weapons have just been approved and moved forward out of the $15 billion authorized for Israel.
Where's all the billions for American citizens?
Yeah. Oh, they... Gosh. I guess they don't have an answer because I don't either. It's like... let's get back to
It's
Ukraine
amazing because, like, when you went back, right? The place is falling to bits. The US, right? Infrastructure, bridges, everything's falling down, but they keep just spending money on this sort of crap.
Yeah, if I was, I'm still an American, but especially if I was living there, I'd be outraged.
Yeah. I can't get it either. It's like, you're sending billions over, 61 billion to Ukraine. How many billion? 14 billion to Israel? He said 15, I think.
It's almost like it's every American's duty right now not to pay their taxes.
Yeah, I can't, I just don't get it. And then, like, we were just talking before the camera went on or something about, like, I think it was Ralph in New York saying, Like they spend hundreds of millions to study the mating habits of a quail and things like that.
Well, it's like a couple years ago they did that annual thing where they talk about what they spent money on. Have you guys heard of that Thanos guy from Marvel movies I don't know what, but he has this hand with crystals.
Yeah.
They spent like 100,000 or hundreds of thousands to replicate his hand.
Why?
That's a good question. Why does the U.S. government need a Thanos hand?
Yeah. I
Why
don't
do
know.
they think it works? It's a real thing.
Apparently, it can move.
No, I'm talking about with the jewels where they can do this and all that.
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, but
Reminds me of when I was washing dishes in California at my last university. All these people were obsessed with these superhero movies. Like, no, Black Panther's gonna beat so and so. No, he's gonna do this. You guys should be focused on more important things in life.
I know priorities are messed up. That's the whole big problem in the world anyway. It's all these governments, and you know that's one reason why we're in Belarus, because look at the priorities. I mean, the priorities are straight here, and over there it's like, what the heck are they spending all that money for? You know, but you know they're dealing with fake money. They just can print it. You know, turn
Just
on the printing
add
press.
some extra zeros on the computer.
Yeah, and it's like, what's that? You know, and maybe that's why they're doing that, and they think there's going to be never any reckoning in the future. And
Well, it's like I always said when I was a kid: is as long as you've got the biggest gun, it doesn't matter if you owe people money.
maybe so,
Exactly.
But that gun is shrinking a little bit in size right now. Yes.
We had a guy on the show, not a guy, a video. Remember the last one, the economics advisor?
Chairman
Chairman of the economics advisor, can't remember his name, and he couldn't explain the debt and the printing money.
He's like the top economist
An
in
advisor,
the United States.
An advisor.
And he says, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know what's going on. And they were asking, well, you see, you know, and he couldn't answer any of the questions, really, any. And this guy, he's a professor as well as, you know, the top economist in the United States.
It's all a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, how the whole thing.
The same with the GDP numbers for the US and the UK and all that. That's all nonsense as well.
Yeah. And people believe papers. They're like, I don't want to make any certain examples, but they don't realize there's reality and there's a piece of paper. They're like, yeah, but this is this. It's like, no, that's what a piece of paper says. It's not real.
Yeah. I remember in Germany, you know, going for a job, you know, as a dental technician somewhere, you know, and they don't really care about the paper. You have to do some work, and then they see if your work is right and good or not. And, you know, can you actually do it? But there are some places, you know, they just care about the paper. If it, you know, and I've seen that before. Then they hire people. What was that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio played?
Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah. And he was playing a doctor. And how long was he working there? And he didn't know anything about med. You probably know about that one.
Yeah, well, just
a pilot too.
I was reading yesterday, Pakistani Airlines. They've just found there's a lot of their pilots that had false.
Doesn't surprise me.
False certificates and all that.
Oh, and then Australia, I think, legalized for Indian engineers to work in Australia with their Indian degrees. So you're going to have a bunch of bridges just collapsing and who knows what.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. The UK also is, they're looking at getting teachers from Africa and India and all that with accents to teach the English kids.
That's like at my last university, University of California, Irvine. Great university. I won't put them down where they don't deserve it. But they did hire a lot of professors that you couldn't understand. Like my math professor couldn't understand.
Wow.
And that would make a big difference, wouldn't it? It's like, what? What?
I wasn't too focused on math at that point in my life. But yeah, if you're actually trying to learn it, you got to be able to understand the person.
Yeah. Well, Donald Tusk, he understood the question of a 10-year-old girl. I think I have a photo of him on Wednesday. A 10-year-old girl, I guess she's kind of like an approved reporter, you know, and she was talking to him at the Polish Parliament and asked Donald Tusk why the UN or NATO have not yet intervened in Ukraine. And you know, the thing, I guess when you're talking to somebody like that, maybe you can be honest. Tusk answered that we have been. Wait a minute. Tusk answered. Oh. Here, I wrote down what we're going to say. Tusk answered what we've been saying here all the time in this show, and I've been saying this for years, that NATO troops are already in Ukraine. And
he said that.
Yeah, he said that. He said, we helping any way we can. We already have troops in Ukraine. And yeah, Maria Zakharova, we'll get to her too in a little bit. But anyway, she would be talking about that too. Maybe we should go to her instead, switch over. Yeah, let's go to Maria Zakharova.
Because the French Foreign Legion are there in Ukraine.
Yeah, I've heard about a lot of French there.
Yeah, let's switch instead, show the photo of Maria Zakharova, if you don't mind.
Well, then was it Germany that admitted that they don't want to send their missile systems there because then they would have to send Germans to operate them like Britain's doing?
Yeah,
exactly.
Historias.
So it's Britain's launching missiles at Russians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess even today, there was this morning, I guess they believe it was an American missile that hit a 10-floor apartment building in Belgorod. But that's, I didn't see that much about it yet. But, we'll be finding out in the next days. And I don't know how many people, just a few got killed and some got injured. As far as I know, I think it was like 7 so far that they know of got killed. Anyway, here is Maria Zakharova.
This is Duke's favorite lady.
Yes, we have to have a picture of her nearly every show.
Yeah.
And she's talking about the Polish Prime Minister statement. She has mentioned that Polish Prime Minister admitting NATO has troops in Ukraine proves that NATO is conducting a hybrid war on Russia. Of course. So anyway, they've taken note of Donald Tusk's little talk there. So anyway, now we can go to Paris. Let's go to Paris. There's you can see the dwellings in Paris.
I wonder if we'll see any Europeans there.
Yeah, that's French. You're right. When I was there, it was like weird. I was there in the 80s, and they didn't speak any English, anyone, and all that. And now, as you go to Paris, everybody speaks English, and a lot of them, of course, are foreigners. But did I give you that photo from? Okay, there it is. Look at these dwellings in Paris. Terrible.
You can live your dream. Move to Paris. Live cheap.
Yeah, look at that. You don't. And if your wife tells you to take the garbage out, it's right there. You don't have to go very far.
Toss it right outside your tent.
Yeah, just open up the flap. Yeah, and people come and pick it up regularly as well, more than once a day.
It was interesting, and we were there in February, and going to the shops and buying some stuff. They now give you plain packaging. They put, like, for example, if you go to Prada or anything like that, they put the box inside a plain thing instead of. Remember, they used to have the bag with the logo on it.
Yeah.
Now it's just plain paper bag and all that sort of thing. Yeah,
because so people steal it.
Yeah, so you don't get robbed.
Gosh, damn, it's really getting something like that in the West. It's crazy. And, this Macron, they were using some words. I didn't even write it down because like he was social hiding people or hiding the poor. But what's happening is they're moving these people. They've been busy trying to remove homeless camps in Paris before the Olympics begin. It's been said that he has been using military special forces and those that didn't go to Ukraine, I guess. There's...
Maybe they can send the migrants to Ukraine. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, just put a French uniform, and then when they get there, they can take the French tag off and put a Ukraine like they normally do, or whatever. And anyway, Macron is sending these guys like 400. They're dumping them like 400 kilometers outside of Paris, all these migrants in their tents and stuff like that, and rounding them up. They need the special forces because some of those guys might be pretty violent.
Yeah, and how manly are the average French men nowadays?
Yeah.
There's a reason Western Europe's being overrun by these guys, because there's no opposition.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well,
all that soy they've been drinking.
I tell you, I mentioned this on the last show, and I probably mentioned it a time before that, but my, nephew, he goes to school in Paris, and he's going to one of the best schools. And he told me personally, he said that like about 50% of the people, the men in his class, boys in his class, are gay. And it's like, what the heck? That's really...
It's crazy. It's like when I go back home to California, and for guys that live there that are normal guys, you just walk down the street and you're like, nobody's a threat. Like, I can just take on anybody here. Like, they can't do a thing. They're all pathetic. The boys nowadays, there's something weird about them. Like, they're all these skinny, weak boys.
I wonder
living
if
in their
it's-
parents' basements with no sunlight.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what they're doing.
It's the food.
Well, a lot of people
as
are
well.
saying it's the food, and like I heard even corn. You know, all corn has got some
Oh,
sort
that
of
corn syrup is dangerous. They put that in everything in
well,
America.
corn
for example.
itself, because it's they said it's got from the GMO stuff, and it's all pollinated, cross pollinated all through the U.S. and even in many other countries. Like they sent it to Bulgaria, and it's GMO stuff, and something was saying
What do you
that,
think it is, Andrew?
I think it's the mindset and the life experiences, because no matter how bad you get messed up biologically,
the
like,
corn.
you can get messed up, but it's their mindset. I don't know how to
that
explain
too,
it.
social.
And they don't do anything. They just sit at home and play video games. They don't have experiences.
Yeah, they're on their cell phones. And back in our days, we.
Oh, well, remember we were discussing about kids when we grew up, and your kids that you want them to, here, like you can climb trees, you can do all sorts of things. I don't think they do that anymore in the West.
I don't know what they do now. Just ride electric scooters and play video games.
Yeah, we had to walk. We walked when we wanted to go swimming or something. I walked.
When I was young, I had to walk 20 kilometers.
Yeah. No, we would. I mean, we didn't have to do this, but we went because we had I don't know, it was about maybe nearly 2 miles, just to go down to a beach or something in summertime.
And the phones as well, I don't know if you remember, maybe you're too young, but someone would call you. If you weren't home, you didn't get the phone call. That was it.
Well, also, even when I was a kid, I would just walk to my friend's house. Didn't call or anything. Just walk.
Yeah. And also, you would, because there was no mobile phones then, you would say, right, I'd meet you at such and such a time, blah, 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 and then go there, and hopefully everybody turn up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still like doing that. It's really fun, actually, for me. It's like a nothing thing, but when I tell my friend, hey, let's go jog and meet each other at this location, and then we both jog like a mile or two, and we meet each other somewhere, and then we go hang out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there's just something cool about that.
Yeah.
And also, people nowadays, they don't use their legs. Like, we have legs. You can use them. You can walk. You can run. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like, especially if you're up on a hill and you look out over a city, like, you can literally run from here to there. Like, you can get wherever you want with your legs.
Yeah, you were saying the last show about people not taking elevators, / lifts.
Oh, yeah, my classmates, even if they're going down one level, they wait for an elevator.
Yeah, there's even in the zoo park, I'm sitting there wondering, I mean, if you're carrying something, kind of, I understand, but see, we're on we have like some animals up on the second floor, and and we're actually in the basement, but but you can't go from we have to go outside, because where we actually have our some animals, you don't have the elevator there, so you have to go up outside and all that. But anyway, when they go down from the second floor to the first, they take the elevator, and then practically right there, and it's even a nice stairwell. And I said, well, why don't we just walk on the stairs or something?
Yeah, we live on the 6th floor in our apartment, and I walk up all the time.
It's the mindset. It's not chemicals making people like this. Of course, the chemicals mess them up, but
yeah. Well, there's another guy that he doesn't like what's going on in the West either. So his name is Judge Tomasz Schmidt. I've seen it spelled a different couple of ways. You know how the Russians spell it with like a Z, Schmidz. But anyway, this guy, this is in an interview. I think this one is, Belta. You can see that kind of in the background, it's blurry, but he was given an interview to the state-owned media outlet here in Belarus. He defected from Poland to Belarus, and they were asking him, what it's all about and all that. He said that what did he say? He said, I'm doing a Biden. No, he said that the United States is like, or like, how do I say this? Warsaw is a puppet of the United States. And
sure looks like one when you get there and you see all the LGBT flags everywhere, and the U.S. embassy's got their LGBT flag.
Yeah, they were trying to push that into all these African countries and they said, we're not going to do anything for you until you accept LGBT. And we were saying, what the heck does this social sort of a movement have to do with the relations between governments?
That
for
flag
economics
represents that force, like that whole coalition. That is their flag. unofficially.
Yeah, it's really strange stuff, and I don't even want to try to wrap my head around it because it just doesn't make any
That's when
sense
you
to
know
me.
a country's been conquered by them, is when they have that flag.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I saw it in London, one along Oxford Street. You know, they usually put flags there for something. And during that month, just all the way through.
I
Just
think I saw a video where some guy tried to take one of them
Oh, yeah,
down,
that one,
and
yeah, yeah.
people get on him.
He was saying, "What are you doing?" Yeah.
When I was in Europe, right after I came here, we went to Europe, and we went through Riga. In Riga, they were having like a what is it, a LGBT march, through there, and that was the only exciting thing that was happening. There was LGBT stuff.
Yeah. I was in a supermarket in London, during that month, and I said, "Oh, I'm glad you do this and that, so I can come here and buy my food." And they went, "Really?" I went, "No, I come here to buy food. I don't want to see this."
Yeah.
The first time I came here, I was in the grocery store underneath Galleria.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember which one it was at the time. It was changed several times. I'm with my wife, and the guy, for some reason, tells me, "We are LGBT friendly." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "We like LGBT here." I go, "I don't like them. I came here because I don't like them." He's like, I don't remember what he said after that. But
Well, like I said, in Riga, they had LGBT stuff, and Ukraine. That was the only thing. You had Ukraine flags, LGBT stuff, and then these, like, I don't know, and it's like these movements are. It's like it's to me, it's all an ideology. They're forcing everybody to accept these ideologies. I really, the LGBT thing, I don't really understand why. What's so important about?
if someone wants to be gay, let them be gay.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they want to do this whole thing where they're teaching the children and getting them to cut their balls off and take hormones, and
Yeah,
it's outright crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, go ahead, do it if you want, but don't like force kids and try to encourage them to say you're a boy, but you really should be a girl because you want to be a girl.
And it's easy to understand that if a little boy gets his balls cut off, he'll never be the same. But what if you give a little girl a bunch of testosterone when she's developing and you mess up her brain for the rest of her life? Even if the brain could go back to how it was before, which it's not going to do, she would still have all those memories and experiences of having all that testosterone and her having those weird thought patterns.
Yeah.
And isn't it isn't it true that after a few months or years they grow out of it anyway? Most of these kids,
I imagine
if they don't
so.
get chopped up and take chemical
that's
drugs.
what I've heard. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Well, I mean, when you're a kid, you get into all sorts of things. You go through phases and you get out of them.
We saw a video where this guy came up to the school and he was dressed as a Roman and he said, "I'm Julius Caesar." Remember that one? "I'm Julius Caesar, blah, blah, blah." And does everybody believe I'm Julius Caesar? And goes, "No." "Well, that's right." And then he started going off about this. Yeah. "Well, then why do you believe this man is a woman as well?"
Yeah.
People go,
yeah.
I had a friend when I was a kid. He used to put on his sister's dresses. It's strange. It's dumb, but it's like, he's not gay. He's not LGBT. He just, when he was 7 years old, liked to put on his sister's dresses.
And he grew out of it.
Yeah.
Someone put a Batman costume on. What, you going to make him Batman?
Apparently.
Or Superman? Yeah, jump off the building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
No, that's because he didn't go through his transition yet. After he finishes, then he can jump off the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, this guy, the Polish intelligence services, are now investigating him. And, for espionage, after he defected to Belarus. Just this past week. He said his reason for defecting to Belarus is because Poland, like I said, is a puppet of the U.S., while Belarus is safer and freer, just like we've been saying. And that's what all three of us and many others that know this place.
Don't have to be a rocket scientist to know it.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend in Australia today because he's saying, "You're there full time?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You remember?" Because we come from the north, right? So I said, "Remember when we grew up where it was really safe, right? It was really clean, all those sort of things." I said, "That's what it's like here now."
It's like, not to get too off topic, but even in California, 10 years ago, so when I was 17, if you were under 18 walking on the street past 10 o'clock at night, now, I don't agree with this. I think the police were too rough, but they would grab you and throw you on the ground. They would slam you against the car, slam you on the ground just because you're out walking after 10. Now it's like anything goes. You can inject drugs on the street. You can rob people. You can do whatever.
Freedom.
10 years. That's how long it took to become polar opposite.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like a revolution, and I'm always like thinking, what the heck have I just witnessed in my life? Like I came here in 2001, and it wasn't as nice as the West, and I said, well, it's better over there, and all that. And then I came here in 2007, and I remember even saying this to some guy in the government. We came from St. Vincent. I was living there at that time, and we brought some some fruits, and we were wondering, finding out some information on trade between St. Vincent, a tiny little country, and this place. And I remember the minister asking me, well, how do you like Belarus? What do you think about it and all that? And I said, oh, yeah, it's getting to be a lot like, especially in Minsk, it's a lot like Germany. It's like I practically don't see any difference whatsoever now. And I said I was really surprised because it's, in 2001, it really wasn't like that. And I remember saying that. And then I came in 2021, and it's like, because I was in Germany in 2016, 17, and around that time, and maybe 2018 even, and it's like, oh, it's not quite as nice as it was. And then I came to Belarus, and I'd say, damn, this is better than Germany. Everything's a lot nicer here. It's a lot cleaner. And then you got the people are, for the most part, more genuine. I don't even know how to say that. It's just yeah, it's like nobody's trying to attack you here, and there's no muggings on the streets, and it's just better. It's just better than it is over there.
It's the new world, or the new Europe.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, what really happened, And I'm just like shaking my head and said, this is better over here than over there. And then you hear these younger people that are somehow, mostly I think it's younger people. You've met them, and you've met them too, Dave. And it's like, why would you come here? And like what you just said, it's better over here.
But once
they can't believe you. They just won't believe you. No, it's better in the West. They say, they kind of smile and laugh at you. you're kind of stupid.
No, I smile and laugh at them when they're like, how bad it is here, and I'm like,
yeah.
But once they travel, or once they meet some of them are too stubborn. They won't listen to any American about how America is, or any German about how Germany is. But a lot of them, at least the ones I've met, they now are completely different. Combination of world events plus what I've told them, they don't think the same thing anymore.
I was just talking to a guy today, and he was like looking at me like, you don't know how bad it is here in Belarus. And so they're thinking, well, I've been here already for like these 4 years, and I'm saying, well, I'm still waiting for something to be bad.
Well, it's
here.
like when they tell you there's so many homeless people here. It's like, oh yeah, so many you can't even see them.
Yeah, that's what we talked about with Steve on the first couple of shows here, and it's like, I saw a homeless guy. I said, really? It's like, there probably are. There are some people. They look kind of obviously, but they don't. I don't think they're homeless.
Yeah, they might not be homeless because everyone until the Soviet Union collapsed was given in apartments. They still have them in their families typically. Now these people, they don't pay for the utilities and such, so sometimes your apartment building, now probably not this building because it's new. But if you live in an older building, you get someone ringing your doorbell asking to please buzz them in. It might be because they're a loser who doesn't even pay for their doorbell service or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
It's like $5 a year. But
some of these people you just can't understand anyway. I remember I was living in St. Vincent in the Grenadines, and these people were like kind of given land to rent, and their rent was like, how much is it in rubles? Yeah, and of course everything is really expensive in that country compared to over here. And I think their monthly rent was like 10 rubles. It's not dollars. It wasn't that much. It was like a ridiculous low price, because it was old, and these people didn't pay. And then it was an election year. They went to the prime minister, and the prime minister was seizing the land from those people that actually owned it. And these people had not paid rent for years and years. And, and it's like, this got out, and they called it it got out in the newspaper. And luckily they had, somewhat free press over there. They called it communist land takeover.
Where's this, St. Vincent?
Yeah. It's the second most dangerous country on earth is what they say. But, the crime there and everything, I don't know. It's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. So, but yeah, these people, I'm telling you, you just plant some pumpkin seeds,
and you get a pumpkin. You take it to the market and you sell it. Well, there's your rent money right there. You can pay your rent, and it's a full 12 months of the year. You can grow pumpkins. You can. I mean, it's like a tropical place. It's just unbelievable. And then this is not. I'm not talking just a yard. These people got like half an acre, and you could. I don't know. It's just frustrating.
That's even better, but it makes me think of like the young people here. They don't realize all these good opportunities they have. For example, medical students. Now, they'll always go, "Oh, doctors don't make any money," but it's like you finish medical school when you're 23. You do 1 year of internship, and then after that, you can get assigned to a city. Now they hate this. Oh, I got to go to some random place. Like, get over it. That's life. You're not always going to be in the same exact city or exactly where you want to be. But that's not all. So they get given housing there for like $5 a month. So for 5 years, you don't have to pay rent. Now imagine you're a guy and a girl. You finish medical school. You get that basically free apartment. 5 years, you save all your rent money. Your wife gives birth. For 3 years, you get money for your children. That's a lot of money you get to save. And then maybe you buy an apartment after that and have more kids, get more money. I mean, not paying rent for 5 years, that's a big deal.
Yeah, my uncle, he was a doctor. Of course, he's long gone. He's dead. But he was saying, like, when he got out of medical school, and he was really sharp. He had got the President's Medal because he got straight A's all through university. And he said when he graduated, he had like a chair, a plate, a fork, and a knife, and a glass or something like that. And he said it took him a long time. He had to do residency at some place. I don't really know what it is, but for years.
Yeah, and you got to work like 90 hours a week.
Yeah, he was saying it was slave labor, and he says you could barely, you're like, you go sit out in the hall or something on a break, and you fall asleep, and it's just really
Look, in
hard work.
America, then you've got to pay back your college fees.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'd say this about the residency to some people in America, and they all go, "I work 90 hours a week." It's like, you probably, some people work 90 hours a week, but actually think about how long 90 hours a week is. If you're the viewer, break that down and actually do the math, calculating that you got to drive to work, you got to drive home, you got to take a shower, you got to eat. Now imagine you got to do 90 hours a week for basically minimum wage for minimum 3, maybe 7 years. After you already did medical school, after you already did your first university, and you got a $300,000-$400,000 debt. That doesn't interest me very much.
No.
It's not even about the money. I don't want to work 90 hours a week for 5 or 7 years.
I met some doctors in Alaska when I was living there, neurosurgeons and all that. They still had medical debt.
Usually it takes around like 40, 45 years old to pay it off.
Yeah, not so cool.
Yeah, here, your residency, you work 20, I can't remember the exact hours, but it's something like 24 hours a week. It's an internship, though. It's technically not a residency.
Yeah. I don't know. See, they've been put into a paradigm. They've been lied to so much that about how much better it is in the West.
You're becoming a doctor, right?
Well, like, as I like to say, that people work as doctors. You don't become a doctor just like you don't become, not to be a smart ass or something, but I'm waiting for that piece of paper that says I can legally work as a doctor. But I mean, get that 5 years no rent. After your 4th kid, your house mortgage gets paid off. These Belarusians don't know what they're missing. There's so many jobs here where they give you free housing or all these other benefits. You just got to know how to use them.
Yes. Yeah. But like this judge, he's, I don't know, he knows how good it is here. It's kind of strange. Foreigners can see how good it is, but I don't know how the Belarusians.
And your university is free here. You go to medical school for free, then you get free housing for 5 more years. So imagine you got 5 years. How many kids can you have in 5 years? Maybe you have 3 kids. So now you just need 1 more kid, and then you get a free house.
Wow. Yeah, they got social benefits.
Have you got any yet?
Not yet. My wife wants to wait till she graduates.
What's she doing?
She's thinking hematology, but we'll have to make the most strategic decision what's going to be the best specialty. It's for better and for worse here. You can get an additional specialty in about 3 months. Your first one, depending on which specialty it is, takes 1 to 2 years or so. If it's just like general practitioner, 1 year, neurosurgeon, 2 years. But after that, you can get any specialty you want. Now, maybe there's some exceptions to this 3-month rule, but they're typically about 3 months. So I'm the kind of person where I would just do it for fun. Like, I want to do this for a while, so I'm gonna do this specialty. I want to do this for a while. You have to pay to get the new specialty, but it takes 3 months, then you get to do it.
Yeah.
Jake, you could become you could work as a doctor.
Yeah.
First, you got to do the 6 years of school here.
Yeah, well, that's probably, I'm not so cut out for that.
I mean, the hardest part is just that you got to show up to class each day and sit there.
Well, you probably know most of that stuff anyway before they're even teaching it.
And that's what's crazy is when you actually know stuff and then you hear what is being taught. I'm not talking just about Belarus, just in the whole world. A bunch of nonsense is taught.
I remember as dental technician over, it's kind of strange. They put stuff out in the classroom, and then you talk to the teacher, which is a meister.
The teacher disagrees with what they taught.
Yeah, they have to teach. They have to say a certain thing, and it's like, and I said, well, because he said something in class, and I said, well, they're telling me to do such and such. He says, well, then do it that way.
It reminds me of the most ignorant student in my class. This guy, after 3 years, he still hasn't caught on. So he'll read something the night before class for 30 minutes. I don't know how long he spends reading it. Then he comes to class the next day, and the professor, recently we're in an infectious disease hospital. The professor says something about spinal fluid analysis, and he goes, no, this should be like that. This should be like that. That's how we know it's this, and that's how we know it's that. She goes, no, usually it's not like that. With this infection, it's not like that. With this infection, it's with this one, with this one, with this one. Sometimes, once in a while, it's like that. There is this one infection where it's like that. And it's like, no, that's how we know that it's the. I say to him, theory doesn't matter in reality. Reality matters.
Yeah.
If the person who's seen it every day says that doesn't happen, get over it. Doesn't happen.
Understood. Yes. Okay. If anybody's heard of Marina Tauber, she's from Moldova. She's a parliamentarian. She came to Russia to get a, order of friendship. There she is right there. We have a video. Let's see if we can read this, what she says here. After I spent a lot of time, she was arrested, both in, I'll just kind of say what it's all about. She was arrested and she's been on house arrest and all this sort of thing. So because she wants to have friendship with Russia, and, that's not allowed in Moldova.
Russian agent.
Yeah. So, but anyway, she came to Russia.
Провела под разными типами арестов и в тюрьме, и под домашним арестом, и под разными.
Various restrictive measures, and a secret to anyone that I have several
Ни для кого не секрет, что у меня несколько открытых уголовных дел, по
open
которым
criminal cases that have 2 or 3
еженедельно
trial
подводятся
hearings
суда.
every week.
Я ожидаю
I
провокаций, но
expect
они меня никак не
provocations,
пугают.
but they don't
Абсолютно.
scare me in any way.
Я
Absolutely not.
хочу
I want to
еще
say
раз
it
со
again
всей
with all
искренностью
sincerity.
сказать, я надеюсь, что это
And I hope
покажут
that
по
it will
всем
be shown
телеканалам
on all TV
вашей
channels
страны,
of
и
your
по
country.
возможности это
And
дойдет
if
до всех
possible, it
наших
will reach
граждан,
all the citizens
что
in the wave
блок
of the Victory
Победы,
political bloc,
который возглавляется
which is headed by
Илоном
the
Шором,
Alan
я
Shore,
и
with
все наши коллеги, мы
myself and all our,
гордимся быть в
be
Российской
proud of the Russian
Федерации.
Federation.
Мы
We're proud to have such opportunities.
гордимся тем, что у нас есть такие возможности, в первую очередь помочь нашей
First of
стране.
all, to help
И
our
как
country,
бы
and
нас
no matter
не
how we are
ущемляли,
infringed
как
upon,
бы не оказывали
no matter how
давления,
much
мы
pressure
будем
we are
бороться,
under, we
и
will
мы
fight.
обязательно
And
победим.
we will
Потому что
definitely
добро
win because good
всегда
always prevails
побеждает
over evil.
зло.
So yeah, she's kind of like pushed down, just like what's that region that's also kind of a part? It's an autonomous region. What's that?
Prednistrovia.
It starts with G, doesn't it?
Are you thinking of the other name, Transnistria?
No.
There's
This
another
is
one that starts with G.
It's within Moldova, and it's like whatever. And there's a young lady there, and she's kind of she won the election, and they don't want to recognize her, and they all this kind of stuff, because Moldova is under control of the U.S. and the EU or whatever. To me, it's the same thing, the U.S. and the EU, because
just different flag they put on in front.
Yeah, and it's like, but the EU is definitely subservient to the U.S. I mean, looking what they did with the pipeline and Olaf Scholz and all that, or Baerbock, I tell you what, it's just it's just an incredible thing. Anyway, they're all one block over there, and Moldova, of course, they pretty much have that already. It's not part of the EU yet, but it probably will be very soon. And anybody who is not going in that direction, is going to be persecuted. So she expects provocations when she returns. She got the Order of Friendship Award from the Duma, the Council of, that was on Vladimir Putin's instructions to give her this award. I guess he didn't give it himself. So anyway, yes. And another person who appreciates Russia but has not yet been persecuted at all, of course, he lives in the United States, is Scott Ritter.
He's back in June. He's coming back in June.
He's gonna. I'll tell you what.
He's going to the areas that he hasn't been at, like further out. Like in Siberia and a few other places.
Oh.
He's going out there.
Did he go to Vladivostok last time?
No.
Yeah, but he seems to be rushed all over the place. Anyways, he's only here for a while, and he's got people, taking him around, showing him things, and he believes that Ukraine's capacity to continue resistance will collapse this summer, and predicted something similar. He predicted it in the autumn already, but it didn't happen. But he seems to be more spot on this time because a lot of this stuff has already happened. Even the billions being sent to Ukraine in weapons and cash will not be what is needed to win. Ritter is right.
You can send as many weapons as you want, but once you're out of people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, now, just today, Zelensky's talking about a all-country mobilization. Basically, everybody. He says it's not right to have these people sitting around in Kiev, and enjoying themselves while the other people are in the front. It's incredible. I don't know what
I've always thought they'll fight till the last Ukrainian.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what's there's nothing left of your country, so what is there to defend? There's no people anymore or anything like that. But there's we have a video. This is about with Scott Ritter about. We're going to be switching a little bit now to the Middle East, talking with George Galloway. It's about what's going on down there. The attack on Rafah and the corridor, and anyway, and let's hear what Egypt's doing here.
I don't know if you heard it. I dealt with the new situation which now exists in Gaza in breach of the Camp David Accords, the peace treaty between Egypt and Israel, which forbid Israeli forces to be in what's known as the Philadelphia corridor. And the Israeli forces are now on the Egyptian frontier and controlling the
right on the border.
Egyptian Gaza gate.
The corridor.
Your thoughts, first of all, on the military political implications of that?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely correct to point out that this is a violation of the Camp David Accords. In fact, Egypt, President Sisi has been saying that if Israel were to do this, that it would end the state of peace that exists.
Camp David
I think
Accords,
Israel's called Egypt's bluff, just like Israel has called everybody's bluff on this, on the issue of the Palestinian people and its ongoing oppression in Gaza. Sadly, I don't think Egypt's going to do what it is permitted to do, which is to declare war on Israel. Israel has committed an act of war. It's an open violation of the terms of peace. Peace should no longer exist between Egypt and Israel, and yet it does. Israel has been able to get away with literal murder in Gaza. The genocidal behavior of the Israeli troops is well documented. It's not even up for debate, and yet the world continues to treat Israel as a legitimate actor on the international stage. And right now Egypt is looking impotent, literally a powerless nation that joins.
I mean, it's a beggar. It's a beggar state, and it breaks my heart to describe the country of Gamal Abdel Nasser in those words. 120 million Egyptians, the beating heart of the Arab world, but it's a beggar. And Israel knows that.
Well, the truth is that virtually every country is a beggar when Israel wants something. And you can even say that's true about the United States, because you see how how Israel controls the U.S. through AIPAC. And I think last week we even played a video, it's an older video, of Netanyahu basically saying he controls, or Israel controls the United States. And everybody says, they have more senators. They have, you can tell Andrew this, it was some reporter once asked Israel, why don't you become the 51st state? And Israel said, well, each state has 2 senators. And right now, Israel, we have 40 senators. So why would we want to become a state? It's like, they own just about every office. And
it's amazing some people don't understand that all these senators and politicians, they're owned by people.
Yeah. And it's like, well, it's like through the lobby, Israel or the United States. And it's kind of a weird situation. They send a guaranteed $4 billion always to Israel every single year. And that's just the $4 billion, but they send a lot more. But that's just the guaranteed money that they send. And a lot of that money comes back, and they fund political campaigns for all of these politicians, lots of politicians. And these politicians are beholden to who funds their political campaign. And that's one reason why they own these people. And yeah, it's like nobody can do anything, so they run this.
America is so corrupt that to build, I was telling my wife about this bridge in Long Beach, California that took, I don't remember if it was 14 years or how much, $100 million in something like 14 years to build. And she's like, is it one of the longest bridges in the world? I'm like, no, it's this little tiny bridge. It's like 1/4 of a mile, maybe half a kilometer. It's like, why does it take so long? Because there's corruption.
Oh, we forgot the subtitles the whole time, huh?
No.
Oh, we had them on all the whole
Yeah.
time? Okay, great. I wasn't seeing it. Okay, great. I was thinking we want Russian subtitles, and I don't know.
I just thought everybody would like to see Andrew in full screen.
Yeah, okay, that's.
You want to do a full screen again?
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember seeing these subtitles. There was a different script too. You just showed too, right?
No, same script.
It's on a big screen. See Andrew the full screen.
There he is.
Yes, there he is.
It doesn't look as good on camera.
Yeah. No, it looks pretty impressive to me.
We need to do that now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. Look at that, boys.
I see a bump.
Yeah. Well, at least there's the bump there anyway, right? Yeah, like the old days. Actually, I had the President's Physical Fitness Award.
It really depends. I didn't go to the gym at all for 6 months, from about May to December. I didn't go at all. Then I kind of got back in a little bit because I messed up my back wrestling. Originally injured it before that, re-injured it wrestling. And I kind of just went sporadically as much as my back would handle. Now I'm going 2-3 days a week.
Near your university or near your work?
Near where I live.
Yeah.
I just like to go to whatever gym's closest, but I actually decided to mix it up because I've got to do less squats right now and do a few leg extensions and leg curls because got to rest the back a little bit. And the gym closest to me didn't have a good leg extension machine.
Yeah. Well, some more about Egypt. This next video, and about tough guys too. This real tough guys. Watch this. Watch these tough Egyptians, and this little Palestinian boy. Yeah, probably on that Philadelphia corridor there. That's where the border is. What may be happening in this video, because it happens, on other occasions, is that, something we don't hear about every day. It doesn't come out in the news at all. This boy may be the son or the relative of somebody associated with Hamas, and he wants to get in a safe place, or maybe the family is trying to send him to a safe place. But the price and it's I guess done by private companies, is usually around $6,000, and often over that, to get across the border. If he does not have it, this boy could find himself locked up or even killed by the Israelis just because of who one of his relatives are. But as we heard from George Galloway, there's in some places, Israel has more control of Egypt's border than Egypt does. So, but anyway, in this case, I don't know. These people may not stand a chance. You know, if you don't have the money to get over there. I mean, what this situation creates is some kind of corruption and.
It's reminiscent of Ukraine.
Yeah.
If you don't have the 10,000 to cross the border illegally, you're just stuck there.
Yeah, it's exactly. I didn't even think about it that way.
I actually bumped into some Ukrainians in an LA Fitness in California a couple of years ago. Heard them speaking Russian, and there was just something about them. I'm like, those are Ukrainians, not Russians. I go up to them and go, in Russian, where are you from? And they go, from Ukraine. I'm like, oh, how long have you been here? They go, 2 months, 3 months. Well, how'd you get here? And then, interesting, the husband didn't want to say anything. The wife starts saying, it costs about, I think she said about, don't quote me on these numbers, $7,000 to go through the forest, but $10 or something thousand to go through a normal road to get across the border if you're a man.
Wow.
I usually heard about 10,000.
Women free?
Women are allowed to leave and cross.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
now.
I mean, as far as I know, they've always been allowed to cross free.
No, I think they've stopped that now.
Oh.
Yeah, they're changing a lot of stuff. Like I just said, this that just came out today. You have to wait and see if it comes out a little bit more on a few other sources. About like a mass mobilization because they're running out of people. I guess they were hoping that NATO was going to send in a lot more troops.
I've heard from a Ukrainian friend of mine that, like, inside Kiev, he doesn't worry too much about getting mobilized, but it's when you try to go in or out of the city, that's when you might get picked up.
Yeah, they were centering on a lot of these areas like Transnistria or places that are predominantly like.
They're focusing on the border of it, or what?
Well, I think the areas like that are maybe Hungarian, descent or speak, like these were areas that at one time belonged to like Hungary or Romania. There's two Transnistria. Did I say Transnistria?
You did.
I meant Transcarpathia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and what Transnistria, I don't know. Maybe they're doing the same sort of things there, but they're also like Odessa, because a lot of them are Russians. So they're doing a lot of the recruiting in those areas that are ethnically not so much to be considered Ukrainian, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of confusing to me because it's like a lot of those, that's like the northern Slavs, but those people down there, trying to pick those people up, I guess Orban and the leadership of Hungary is pretty pissed off because they're going down there and picking mostly a lot of those people and sending them to the front to die, to the meat grinder, I guess. Yeah. And we have some more videos about going on down there. Here's Israel expands the Rafah attack. So yeah, they're
استهداف أعلى بناية أبو غرارة في منطقة سوق الشعرة. كما تشاهدون النيران تشتعل في هذه البناية من الأعلى.
Well, anyway, they sent in tanks and they're bombing, of course. And I think, what is it, Joe Biden? Some people say, oh, if they increase these attacks or something like that, then blah blah blah. I don't know. It's just a lot of threat because it's an election year, and Israel. I think they've even said that there's a video with Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, and basically he's smiling and talking and saying we can do whatever we want to do, and of course that's true. He was saying it in so many words, But yeah, this, like I said, is talk. This threatening talk from the U.S. is just for public consumption, and yeah, it's also the Foreign Secretary of the UK, Cameron, has also stated they're going to continue sending weapons to Israel.
I've got a video of him.
Oh, saying that too?
No. See the little boy there?
Yeah.
Hitler Youth uniform.
Oh.
And there's Cameron there. Dun, 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 dun.
Doesn't even notice it, huh? Mm-hmm. Yes, and as we can talk. Well, this I don't know if we can talk. We're
No,
still on YouTube.
You can't do that one.
You know, we have to.
You can't say what Tucker said. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not on YouTube. We have to.
No.
So let's see. What else do I have? That
you know what's funny is the other day in infectious diseases we were talking about tick-borne encephalitis and how in Belarus it's not that bad. You have the European variant of it. In Russia, it's bad. But in the U.S., you have these really weird variants that do all these weird things. It's like, oh, what a coincidence. You know, it just started right around Plum Island where there's the biolab.
Okay.
Yeah, I read about that something the other day.
Yeah, Tucker was actually just talking about it.
Right. Yeah, we got a video about that. We can't talk about it on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll switch over in a few minutes. The last thing I'd have to say that we could probably say on YouTube is that Elon Musk says that the 2024 election is likely the last to be decided by the people. You know, and in my opinion,
if that,
yeah, I tell you what, many of the last ones, probably in most of my lifetime, I don't think they were decided by the people. You know, they decide on who you get to choose from, kind of, is what it seems, and I think they already know that in advance. And like, remember, I don't know if you guys remember Ron Paul when he was running.
I remember.
Yeah, and it was like 2007, and they made sure that he was not on television. I think like a month before the actual election because he was too popular.
Now, did he run twice? Because I remember when I was in high school, him running, and I really liked him.
Yeah, and most people liked him, and he, you know, he was running in the primaries, and he had, what do they call it? Like, I don't know, what do they call those things? Like a telethon or a fundraiser thing, and he got the record for the most money that people donated to his political campaign, and he was only in the primaries. Obama saw that, and he tried it, and he got like 300,000, and Ron Paul got over 5 million, or something like that, or 15. He had a huge amount, and then when people are already chosen, you know, like the Republican and the Democrat, they have not even gotten as much as Ron Paul got in the primaries, and when they already had the what do they call the nomination. So it's incredible how popular he was. Remember, people out of their own pockets, they funded a blimp, the Ron Paul blimp, and all this stuff. But he was just way too popular, and he could fill stadiums in the primaries. And, you know, you saw like Mitt Romney or John McCain. John McCain could only fill a little room. Mitt Romney, he could only fill up to the 20-yard line, only on the field. And Ron Paul could fill the entire stadium in the primaries. And Mitt Romney, who won the nomination, he couldn't even get 5% of what Ron Paul was getting back then. In other words, it was all rigged. Yeah, it was all rigged up. It was rigged up.
Well, didn't they also rig it against Bernie Sanders for Hillary?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I remember that one. And the problem is Bernie Sanders caved in. I don't understand. Well, actually, Ron Paul did too, because they threatened Ron Paul, and it was put out by his campaign manager that the Romney campaign said that they will ruin him. They will completely destroy Ron Paul if he continues, and if he ever mentions anything bad about Mitt Romney. So,
and you don't know how far these people are going to go. Like, look at Boeing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean the
Tucker
people
said,
that were killed.
Who was Tucker talking to? Joe Rogan on his show. And he said a lot of the people in the U.S. Congress, you know, have got weird backgrounds, and the intelligence agency have all got dirt on them, so they can tell them what to do.
And it's one thing if you think you're going to meet your end, but what if they say your wife and your children and everyone, they're going to stop existing?
And I'll tell you what, we saw that Donald Trump had completely changed 180 degrees on Ukraine after one meeting. Who was in that meeting? It was this Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. And who went with him?
I don't know. He brought it. I think he brought the CIA with him, didn't he?
I was hearing the CIA, and now all of a sudden, Donald Trump heard 180 degrees. Yes, we're going to support Ukraine.
It's like what Putin was saying about American presidents. He always talks with them, and then they have to talk to their CIA advisor person, and then they go, "Oh, sorry, we can't do it."
Yeah, it's like, well, the CIA probably says, is your son still going to school? Does he still walk that same path?
Yeah, because Putin said that about, I think he was talking to Clinton about joining NATO. And he said, oh, that'd be a good idea. Oh, George Bush or one of them. And then came back and went, oh, no, sorry, can't
and
do
about
that.
the joint missile defense system in the Caucasus, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can't do that now.
Yeah. Makes you really wonder who's got the money and who's paying who and who's doing what to
Before we go to YouTube and play stuff that we're not allowed to play, do you want to talk about stem cells?
Sure, in 1 second.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. So can you explain what stem cells are and why they are unique compared to other cells?
So, sorry if that was really loud. But sperm goes to egg. And when it starts out, well, let's not take it from there. All cells in your whole body. Your skin has cells, your eyeballs have cells, your tongue has cells, your muscles have cells, everything has cells. They all are different cells, but they all have the same DNA. Every cell in your body can become every other cell in your body. Can, but not will or can currently. Because you have a big old strand of DNA. It's actually not a big strand. It's all twisted up and clumped up and rolled up and everything. And certain parts of it can't be used, and certain parts of it can be used. And each cell has a different part that can be used and which can't be used. And that's how you have same DNA, but different outcome. So one could be a muscle cell, one could be a tongue cell, based on which parts are on and which parts are off. Stem cells, they kind of have a blank, ubiquitous state where they can become anything, and then go on to turn certain things off or certain things on. So you still have some stem cells in your body. When you're first born, when the sperm first meets the egg, you're pretty much all stem cells. And then slowly but surely, the half over here tells the half over here what to do, and they differentiate, and then they tell each other what to do, and they split some more, and they keep getting more and more specific for their role. And once you're an adult, you have very, very, very few of these. When you're a little baby, you have a lot of them. When you're a kid, you have less of them. When you're a teenager, you have even less. But when you're an adult, you have even less. We do have them all throughout our whole body. And as needed, if you damage a certain tissue, they can become that tissue. Now, what they can do is, you probably heard of stem cell injections or therapy. They don't seem to function the same way that your natural stem cells function. Now, when I have a lab of my own, I'm going to be really looking into things because there's so much conflicting information out there. It's hard to know what to believe. So I'm just going to see for myself with my own eyes. But it doesn't make sense that when you introduce stem cells into an adult human body that they would really turn into much. Maybe a very small percentage, but you have to understand that when the human organism is forming, first you have a chemical environment from the mother. The baby, they like to call it all sorts of different things, fetus and other things. It's a baby inside a mother. You have a soup of chemicals surrounding it, telling it what to do, which cells to turn into what. And there's a certain sequence. So you have a chemical environment and you have a sequence of chemical environments. Without the proper sequence, nothing happens. Without the proper chemical environment, nothing happens. But it's not just one chemical environment, it's a sequence of them. So you introduce these cells into an adult human body. Maybe you can match the chemical environment, one of them, but you're not going to get that sequence down. You have a completely different chemical environment, and it's not changing in the way that a developing organism is changing. So no, it's highly, highly, highly unlikely that these stem cells introduced are going to become anything. But what they can do is communicate with the cells you already have, to reprogram them to get them work like they did when they were young and perfectly functioning. And when things function perfectly, the body functions perfectly. It's not rocket science. If all your cells are working perfectly, all of a sudden you work perfectly. Magic happens. Things get fixed. They can also donate their mitochondria. There's also supposedly a telomere lengthening effect. But the main thing would be the mitochondria plus the reprogramming of your existing cells. There's also a lot of unknown. The bottom line is we know that they work. We just don't know exactly how they work. We know how they work. Like, we know certain aspects of how they work. But we still can't explain the end result that we're getting. Maybe some people can explain it, but with publicly available information, it can't really be explained fully.
Okay. Well, what are the main types of stem cells and how do their potential applications differ?
So you have stem cells in your whole body. You can take stem cells from your hair follicles. You can take stem cells from your muscle. You can take stem cells from your fat, from your bone marrow. It's typically from an adult taken from the fat or the bone marrow. You can also get them from umbilical cords from babies, from placentas. And as you get older, things don't function as well. Certain parts get turned off that should be on. Certain parts that should be off get turned on. DNA mutations occur. A lot happens the older you get, so the best stem cells are from as young of an organism as possible.
What current projects are you working on involving stem cells?
I'm just working on building my lab right now.
Okay.
So no projects.
Do you know any of recent breakthroughs in stem cell research and its applications?
Sometimes I'll hear about supposed breakthroughs, but basically no.
Okay.
It doesn't help that it's not done very much in most of the world.
Okay. How do stem cells play a role in regenerative medicine and tissue engineering?
Like I said, they tell your cells how to function perfectly, so when all of a sudden your body's functioning perfectly, stuff gets fixed. If your cells aren't functioning right, how can they fix stuff properly? But you got to keep in mind, just because you give them the right signals, just because you instruct your cells how to work properly, doesn't mean they'll be able to. If they don't have the raw materials to build stuff, like say they're missing the amino acids, you can pump all the stem cells in that you want, but if you don't have the building materials, you can't rebuild stuff. Same thing if you're missing certain vitamins that are needed for enzymes to work, or missing certain minerals. The enzymes just aren't going to work. Doesn't matter how well they can work.
Okay. What are the ethical considerations involved in stem cell research?
For me, there's no ethical considerations. They help people. They help people a lot. There's no damage to the donor. So it's not like we're putting babies in a blender. In theory, you could literally put a baby in a blender and get stem cells. We don't need to do that. I don't plan to do that. Normal people don't want to do that. But I have zero doubt in my mind that there are people out there actually doing that.
Jeez.
That's not ethical.
Yeah, okay. How do regulations affect your research, particularly in different countries?
I'm from America. I cannot really do this in America. One thing that's cool about living in Belarus.
Okay. What's the biggest challenges you face in your research?
Getting it all set up legally. I want to do it legally.
Money. Do you need more money? Probably.
Money certainly wouldn't hurt, but I'm not worrying about the money so much until I can actually do all this stuff.
Where do you see the field of stem cell research heading in the next decade?
Well, you're specifying research. Gotta think about. Probably it's going to be creating organs outside of the body and then transplanting them into the body. Because like I said, we can't really, it's highly, highly unlikely that when you put stem cells into the body that they will turn into something because you don't have the right chemical environment. But if we mimic the chemical environment and the right sequences of chemical environment in a test tube, so to speak, we can hopefully grow full organs.
So that means that if you want, say, a lung, you could grow one and then there would be no rejection drugs and all those other things you have to take.
Take some cells out of the person and do that. Now, an alternative approach would be if we could manage to genetically modify an animal properly, that the genes
Like
I'm
they
gonna
do
have
with,
to
like they do
super.
with pigs.
I don't
They
know what
do
they're doing with
pigs organs.
pigs, but I gotta super oversimplify it that basically we can grow human organs or organs that won't be rejected by humans inside of animals. Maybe that would be a better approach. I don't know.
Okay. Are there any emerging technologies or methods that could revolutionize stem cell research?
I think the main thing that would revolutionize it is if it wasn't so taboo.
And maybe a lower cost?
Lower cost in what regard?
Not just generally, if more people could do it at a lower cost. Or don't you think it could become lower?
So it depends on where you're taking the cost from. If you're taking the cost from Mexico, I don't think it can really go much lower. Like me doing it here, I'm not going to be able to go lower than them. You know, my goal would be to match them. Belarus prices currently are about the same as Mexico. You can currently get stem cells in Belarus. Now, if you're taking the prices from some place that charges $20,000 for a treatment, then yes, of course, the prices can go lower. But if you really think about it, say your treatment costs $5,000. Now, depending on what, let's say you're an American, you live in America. Yeah, $5,000 is a lot of money. But let's say you have a bad disease where you're constantly going to doctors. I mean, let's not even just think about the fact that you got to pay for the doctor each time. You have to pay for gas each time to drive to the doctor. Maybe you have to take time off work. There's a lot of things that go into that total cost you're paying, and the time, and the fact that there's a good chance your treatment doesn't work. So if you could pay a one-time payment of $5,000 and you're all good, I mean, it's not that expensive in my opinion. But of course, there are some conditions where you should get repeated treatments. But overall, I don't think that a few $1,000s is the most prohibitive cost. People just need to get their priorities straight and realize how much money they're truly spending on the alternative. It's like I have a book on how to get rid of tendinitis. I think I listed it for $200 on Amazon, and it didn't sell many copies. You know, marketing is not there. But I always would say at the end of my YouTube videos, I probably should say at the beginning, but I don't like to bother people with advertising, that, you know, typically when someone has tendinitis, they're going to go to several doctors, and the doctors are going to refer them to a physical therapist or
Can you explain to the viewers what that is?
So tendinitis is a chronic inflammation of one of your tendons. Maybe in your elbow, maybe in your knee, could be in your shoulder. It's pretty common. You probably heard of tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, I think it's called. And I've encountered a lot of people that have this, and they go to doctor after doctor. They get the runaround, then they go to the physical therapist, then they go to the this, then they go to the that. And they spend all this time and money. You know, key thing is time. You don't get time back. And also, while you haven't fixed this problem, you're not enjoying life to the fullest. Tendinitis can be bad. Like, there's a lot worse stuff in life. But if your shoulder, for example, is always hurting and you can't sleep on your one side, you know, it really reduces your quality of life. So not only are you spending all this money to go to doctor after doctor with no results, but you're losing time that you can enjoy your life. If you could spend $200 and all of a sudden get rid of your tendinitis, to me, that's just common sense. Like, I would do that right away.
Okay. What inspired you to get into this field?
Medicine in general, or what?
Well, medicine and the stem cell.
Medicine I've just always been into, and then stem cells and like how to fix tendinitis and injuries. The tendinitis was inspired by a bunch of other injuries I got, and I just applied what I learned to tendinitis and wrote a book on it, because to write a book on the other stuff would be much more complex. Tendinitis was something that I could write a very specific book on with very, very, very high, highly repeatable outcomes. So far, and this sounds crazy, and eventually it's not going to be the case, so far it's 100% success rate. So that's pretty awesome. But I got into all this stuff because I got a lot of injuries in my life. Started with wrestling, then there was doctors causing more injuries, then I had some car crashes, and just had a lot of injuries, and I had to figure out what to do with them, because after doctors injured me, I decided, hey, I don't trust the doctors to do any surgeries or anything at all, so I got to fix it myself. And I knew that the human body has the ability to fix things. We just need to allow the body to fix it. We got to give the body what it needs, or turn certain things on, turn certain things off, so put it in the right state to fix things itself.
Slightly off topic, you know, the buzzing and ringing in your ears?
Which kind?
Is it tendinitis, or is that what they call it?
I mean, there's a lot of different causes of it. Could be from high blood pressure.
What happens if you got low blood pressure and fairly healthy, and it's just there?
Maybe damage to the ear nerves. I'm not an ear specialist, but I've seen stimulant-induced ringing in ears. I've seen high blood pressure. And now, people might think the stimulant one's due to high blood pressure. It doesn't seem to be. And then there's neurological.
Okay.
But I'm not an ear specialist.
Duke, any questions about stem cells?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No,
I'm very excited to get them all over my body because I've got banged up a lot.
Yeah. Well, it sounds all good, but when I have a opportunity, maybe I'll ask you more. It's like price and what can it cure and all that. I mean, sure, I got questions, but
and there's also very, very rarely black and whites in anything in life, especially with the human body. It's arguably the most complex thing on the planet Earth. It's the most complex thing we know exists anywhere. So, yeah.
Last question. Is there any bad things about taking them?
So, yes, there are. Main ones would depend on the people who are administering the treatment to you, or who grew them or prepared them in the lab not doing it right. And that's something that, I know the principles of chemistry and biology and how the human body operates and what could cause problems and what won't cause problems. And I put a lot of thought into my procedure I've written up. I'm in a unique position where I'm going to have my own lab and I don't need to trust somebody else, but I don't want to trust somebody else. It's like I do all my medical stuff myself because I'm around medical people and scientific people all the time, and I know how much they screw up. I don't trust them. You'll probably survive most of the time, but I'm not going to list all the stuff I've seen, and they typically don't know what they're doing. They're following procedures. It's scary. So I trust my stuff.
So if you had stem cell research, there's no chance of growing an extra leg. You know what I mean?
If you used embryological stem cells, you could probably grow some tumors.
Ah, okay.
But there's a very long safety record of all non-embryological stem cells not growing tumors.
Okay.
But still, the data isn't. It depends on what you consider enough data. But I would certainly like to see a lot more. But it's restricted by how much we're allowed to use them in most countries.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, one more thing. You're not a doctor.
No, I don't have a medical license.
You're not. This isn't medical advice.
No medical advice.
You take vitamins and supplements?
I take a lot.
Okay. We were discussing this beforehand. I take a lot as well. What would be the basic ones that you would suggest?
Multivitamin is a safety net. A lot of people go, "Oh, why do I need a multivitamin? I just eat a balanced diet." Now, a multivitamin doesn't contain everything, but are you so sure that your diet's not lacking in anything? Or are you so sure it's not lacking in anything at any day of the week?
That was wrong advice I gave you. Because I said don't take multivitamins.
So the thing is, what if your diet's lacking in something one day out of the week? Probably not a big deal. But what if it's lacking in something 1 week out of the month? You get the idea. There's a good chance that at some point in time you're lacking something. And you're probably going from lacking this to lacking that to all over the place. Multivitamin is a safety net. I don't take a high dose of a multivitamin. I just want it there, so I've got everything just in case I'm missing something. I don't want to be thinking, I got to eat this vegetable, I got to eat this fruit. No, red meat has everything you need, but what if you don't eat red meat one day? If I eat a lot of red meat, I don't take multivitamins. Vitamin C, very, very important for collagen. You can have all the amino acids, everything you need to build muscle tissue, skin tissue, tendons, but if you don't have the vitamin C, you can't build anything. And unless you're eating a lot of citrus fruits or a lot of fruits and vegetables in general, probably a good idea to take vitamin C. Plus, it has antioxidant activity.
Okay. And?
It just depends on how far you want to go. There's a lot of good vitamins.
Vitamin D?
It's probably a good idea depending on where you live. If you live but I'm kind of mixed on this one. It does seem to be good. People seem to have good results. But at the same time, I think evolutionarily, are we really meant to have a lot of vitamin D all throughout the year? Maybe we're not. Maybe it depends on what your genetics are. Maybe people who have genetically been in the north a very long time shouldn't have it year-round.
Oh, if you're eating a lot of fish, like in the north, in Scandinavian countries, that's okay.
Yeah, perhaps that's where they get it from.
Yeah.
Well, even isn't it true like that? Say, depending on your age, and if you're a man or a woman, you might need like woman might need more iron, and a man, say over 50s or something, might need, depending on their blood pressure, they might need more magnesium
And
or
magnesium's good.
things like
I mean,
that.
I believe in going based on symptoms and blood work. Now, blood
Mm.
work by itself, you really don't know because everybody should have different levels. So you can't simply look at a piece of paper and go, oh, you don't have enough of this. Maybe it is enough for you. But me, for example, I'll pull from myself, I was getting leg cramps, like cramps, really strong, actually painful calf cramps. They would wake me up in the middle of the night.
Wow.
I tried with magnesium, and when I took magnesium consistently, they went away.
Hmm.
As long as my magnesium stays above a certain level, I don't get like calf cramps. I know that if I go below that level, I get calf cramps. So, number one is go based on symptoms. If you have no symptoms of a deficit or an excess, decent chance you don't have a deficit or an excess for your body.
I get full blood work every 6 months because it's fairly cheap here. Is that a good amount every 6 months, or do you suggest?
So, every 6 months is good for across the board, all inclusive blood work, or even once a year. But you should focus on your trouble areas every month or every other month.
Okay. And what would they be, depending on the person, I suppose?
Yeah, like maybe you have really crazy cholesterol. Maybe you have low iron. I have high iron a lot of the time, so I test my iron pretty much every month.
Mm. Mm. I put all mine in a spreadsheet so I can see what's going on, and it's fairly just basic all the time, most of the things. So, okay.
Interesting.
And what else? K2 you were suggesting?
Yeah, so this will sound pretty crazy to the average person, but if you don't have K2 in your body, now we don't know exactly how long it takes. Maybe it's 2 hours. It's probably not 2 hours. Maybe it's 10 hours. Maybe it's 2 days. Maybe it's 1 week. But at a certain point, when you don't have K2 in your body, these cells that make up your blood vessels actually go under an epigenetic change and they turn into bone cells. That's not good. Those bone cells start producing a hydroxyapatite matrix like your bones make. It's not that calcium's simply building up in your blood vessels. The actual cells turn into bone and start using that calcium to build bone in your blood vessels. Vitamin K prevents that epigenetic change.
How do you get that naturally if you weren't taking supplements?
Eggs.
Eggs. Okay. Is that the only thing?
I'm not a big vegetable person, so I don't even bother looking at what all the vitamins are in vegetables. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, I just don't eat a lot of vegetables. Two, things aren't very available from vegetables. It's like someone was telling me recently, oh, my spirulina has a bunch of iron. I'm like, it's no good. First of all, you got the plant cell wall, which is going to prevent fiber. You eat fiber, it comes out unchanged. Imagine if there's good stuff inside there. You're not absorbing it. Second of all, the iron in plants is in the wrong oxidation state. You can't really use it. Now, if you have a bunch of vitamin C with it, it helps, but why try so hard to do something that doesn't work well if you can just do something that does work well, like eat red meat? Now, some people don't like red meat. Good chance you should just eat it. Some people think, oh, it's going to ruin my arteries or something. It's bad for cholesterol. Cholesterol, interesting fact, the higher your cholesterol is up until a certain point, the lower your all-cause mortality. Meaning you get in a car crash, you're less likely to die if you have high cholesterol. You get seriously ill, you're less likely to die if you have high cholesterol.
Is that the good cholesterol?
No, it's all cholesterol.
Okay.
Cholesterol is incredibly important for building tissues. If someone has extreme burns, they have low cholesterol, they're not going to heal. They have high cholesterol, they're going to do great.
Cool. Okay.
It's interesting. It's also like testosterone and anabolic steroids. They greatly increase cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, the low density lipoprotein. I've always thought, that's got to be for a reason. Like, testosterone wouldn't just increase something bad, like bad cholesterol, for no reason. How interesting is it that when you take something like testosterone or anabolic steroids, you're building a lot more tissues? Perhaps are we transporting a lot of cholesterol to tissues because we need to build the tissues? People think, oh, it's just going to build up in your blood vessels, but you're building muscle tissue, skin tissue, all at a higher rate. So of course you should have more cholesterol being transported to them.
And testosterone, as you get older, starts going down.
I think it's a great idea for men to be on testosterone. if you're young, you got the fertility issue, which can be circumvented with other medications or by coming off. I work with a lot of guys, and even young guys, if they're not planning to have kids in the near future, it's like, perhaps it's a very good idea for you to be on testosterone. I'll take an example, 28-year-old guy I'm working with. I want to put his testimony on my Instagram sooner or later, but just the other night he was saying to me, I have felt sick for 6 years. It's only now that I'm doing this regiment of things that you informed me about. You didn't advise me on any of this, but that you informed me about, and I finally don't feel sick. Only 28 years old, but feels so much better.
Cool.
But you cannot just hop on testosterone. Testosterone does raise your blood pressure in most people. There are counterindications, and you got to know what you're doing. It's like, I met this guy about your guys' age. I'm with some friends. We're all hanging out, drinking beer. And he's like, hey, I went to Mexico and I started taking testosterone. I'm like, how much? 1. What is 1? 1. A whole one. What's a whole vial, a whole syringe, a whole what? He's like, a whole syringe. I'm like, how big is this syringe? It's like this. He's trying to show me with his hands. I'm like, do you have any of these syringes? He goes and gets it, and it's a 3 milliliter syringe, and he gets his testosterone, and it's 250 milligrams per milliliter. Like, how often are you doing this? Once a week. That's 750 milligrams for a guy who's like 65 years old once a week. This guy ended up having a heart attack a few weeks later. Now, I told him, this is a horrible idea. You're crazy. You're going to kill yourself. But yeah, he did have a heart attack a few weeks later.
Okay, let's no, you. Any questions? You.
Oh,
you over there. You over there.
No.
Andrew, you want to?
I'll think about it.
Think about it. Okay. Everybody on
YouTube.
Everybody on YouTube, we are going to Rumble full time. I will put the address in the Rumble in the YouTube chat, and then we'll cut it off so we can say stuff.
I've even met a lot of young guys that are on the verge of like dropping dead from a stroke because of the steroids they're taking. And I'm like, no medical advice, but you've got to take blood pressure medications. They're like, no, I feel great. I don't want to take anything. It's like, if an ambulance came right now and measured your blood pressure, they would take you to the hospital. Like, they're not even going to ask you. They're going to like strap you to the bed and take you to the hospital. Like, but no, I feel great.